Wife's 38F best friend 38F at birth of child.
Hi, so my wife the other day just randomly told me 39M that she has asked her best friend, let's call her Sarah, to be with us at the birth of our third baby. She's been best friends with Sarah since they were little children. Now we were sitting watching whatever, and she just goes, so I was expecting Sarah to be like, oh wow, that's great and so on. But she started crying and saying what a privilege, how honored and how meaningful it was to be asked. I turned and asked, wait what?
I was shocked, surprised, kinda offended that she just sprung it on me, without even at least running it by me for my opinion at least. She then explained that she asked her to be with us at the birth. We didn't have anyone besides the nurses at our other two children's births. Now I get along great with Sarah, but I'm not really sure if I'm comfortable with anyone being there for a very personal moment, or ours. I'm a very easygoing, get along with everyone type of person, but also very private with personal and close things to me. I'm upset she didn't at least let me know this was something she wanted to even do, and yes, I know the husband's role is just a secondary role to play in a birth.
Edit to add, if she wanted her mom, the Pope, Santa, whoever, then that is what she would get, that's fine. My issue was with the no communication, and being blindsided so casually with it. Anyway, we spoke about it last night, and she goes, in hindsight, she should have discussed it with me before, but it was a spur of the moment idea while watching a show about two best friends, one who's pregnant, the other one dying, and if I wasn't comfortable with anyone there, that's fine and not an issue. Simply told her it's okay, just wanted to be advised and included in what happens, don't have to always be comfortable or agree in a relationship.
My mom and my best friend were in attendance at the birth of both of my children. They were able to provide a different kind of support than my partner could. He was very present and supportive as well, but it's different. I needed what I needed. Your feelings are valid, but at the end of the day, until you're the one pushing a human out of your vagina, you need to defer to your wife.
You have a right to your feelings on this, but honestly she gets final say. It's her body that is going through this traumatic process, and she gets to decide who is and who isn't in the room. If she has decided she is willing to be that vulnerable with her best friend, then that is her choice. I would be hurt that she didn't discuss it with me first, because I want to be a part of and understand her needs during that time. But the final decision is hers, and you need to support her in what makes her comfortable. Maybe ask that you guys discuss with the BFF how everything will work after the birth. Who will get to hold baby first? If friends should leave for a bit after the birth to give the three of you bonding time. Just set some expectations and boundaries. Info. Were her first two pregnancies during COVID? Perhaps she always wanted her best friend present during birth, but this is her first opportunity?
Please understand that in the birthing scenario, your wife is the patient and you are a visitor. If the patient says, I don't want so-and-so in the room, that person will be removed. Hell, if your wife told personnel she didn't want you in the room, you would be asked to leave without question because you are not the person being operated on. Patient advocacy dictates that the patient's comfort and preferences are prioritized whenever and however possible. Maternal health and OB/GYN providers, specifically, are some of the most no-nonsense people you will ever meet because patient advocacy within the obstetric realm is taken extremely seriously.
So while you are certainly entitled to have an opinion about who should be present at the birth of your child, and while I agree that your wife should have discussed this plan with you before telling her friend, it is entirely your wife's decision who will actually be present for the birth of this child. It is her body that will be on display. It is her well-being that must be safeguarded during labor. Whatever mom wants, mom gets. I strongly encourage you to put your scruples aside and do what is best for your wife. There are few situations more stressful than giving birth, and you do not want to be a contributing factor to the mayhem. I want to share a different perspective. I'm Sarah. I'll never have a child of my own. My sister, a very private person, invited me to witness the birth of her third child. This was a gift that I never ever dreamed she would give me. She and my brother-in-law gave me something special, something I could never reciprocate, a gift of a magnitude that you cannot imagine. Now, I understand your reservations and I cannot discount them. You also need to be comfortable with this. I would encourage you to talk to your wife. Kind and honest conversation about this. You have a right to your feelings. But you're also not the one who's liable to tear from vag to asshole. Wife gets to decide. If she wants her friend there, her friend gets to be there. She is giving birth. You didn't get the answer you wanted on AITA, so you came here. Your wife is not in the wrong. She is allowed to have her friend at the birth of her child. Stop making a mountain out of a molehill. Edit. To everyone getting their knickers in a twist and saying, "Ah, poor guy, he just wants a say." Please note in his AITA post-op said he was offended that his wife wants more support. SMH. On AITA, you said, husbands need and want to be part of births, as a rough paraphrase. You don't need to be there. Your wife wants you to be there. And you want to be there. Which is perfection. If she didn't want you there, you wouldn't be. Your only function in the delivery room is emotional support. Your wife also wants Sarah there. This is her right. And I know you respect it and simply aren't comfortable with it. But you're posting across subreddits for validation that isn't going to change your circumstances. Yes, you are the father. No, you are not entitled to view a medical procedure because you impregnated your wife. And you're certainly not entitled to be the only one present. I understand your feelings to an extent. And I get that you wish she would have told you she was asking so you could. I dunno. Prepare for if, when her best friend said yes. But this situation isn't about you. She is 4 months pregnant, so you have quite a bit of time to adjust to this reality and to talk about how you'd like more frequent communication about her thoughts and her birth plan. Make this about communicating more, and how you want to ensure that you can bond with your child and with her after the birth. And discuss boundaries you're both okay with now that Sarah is included. Your feelings are fine, and somewhat make sense. I'm a woman who has zero plans to be pregnant. Ever. And my modus operandi is patient everybody else because point advocacy isn't something I take lightly. And it isn't something the industry takes lightly. And no real medical professional would give a damn about a healthy family member in those moments. So this is my POV. But I don't have any advice beyond communicate your feelings and cope. TBH. I'm sorry that this situation isn't panning out how you'd like. But it's beyond your control. Focus on what is. Like how you communicate your feelings to your wife. She probably didn't think it'd be a big deal at all, which is why she didn't mention it prior. I personally don't find this odd. Clearly from the friend's reaction they have a very close friendship. And it makes sense for your wife to want to have her there during an immensely painful and life-changing experience. I personally would want my mom in the room alongside my partner. But if I didn't have a close relationship with my mom, I'd 100% invite my best friend. Where I'm from, you can have 2 people in the room with you. And I would totally take up the option to have maximum support there with me. I've read a lot about how there's been a movement away from community around raising children to more private and the impacts that has on mothers. If there's the option to be surrounded by support of those you love, I think that's beautiful. I think this is more something for you to unpack individually than something for your wife to be considering. Why don't you want someone else in the room? This may be a discomfort around being 100% yourself in the company of others. Or anything. I would imagine it's important to put your wife first for this experience. Whatever makes the birthing process more smooth, supported, and a positive experience for her. It hasn't been since more recent times that partners, spouses and men were even involved in the birth of babies. It is a profoundly difficult, emotional, and taxing experience, and some women just need their mothers, sisters, and friends for a deep sense of comfort. Your wife deserves to have her birthing space exactly as she wants it, with whomever she wants. It sounds like you're trying to center yourself in an experience that quite frankly should center solely around her and the baby. Honestly, you need to let this go. You've posted about this 3 times already. You say you're upset she didn't communicate, but I think it's deeper than that. At the core, you're upset about something else. She did communicate. She told you 5 months in advance. She does not need your consent or approval to make any decision surrounding her health, pregnancy, or birth. That is all hers to decide. Until you're growing a human inside your body and it's literally tearing its way out of you, you don't get a say. Just as an aside, the average total cost for surrogacy is $100,000. She's doing $100,000 worth of labor just for carrying the pregnancy alone. You are her husband and the father of her children. But this is 2023, not 1923. She doesn't need to consult you on everything. If she wants your input, that's fine. But she didn't ask and she didn't need to. This is her medical procedure, and if having her best friend there makes her more comfortable, she gets to have that. You said in a different comment that if you told her you didn't want the friend there, then the friend wouldn't be there. And honestly, I think it's pretty awful that you'd ever even entertain hypotheticals around that. You're a private person. That's okay. But birth is traumatic and her wants come before yours. It wasn't until 1970s that fathers were even allowed to witness the delivery. I don't agree with that. But my point is that this whole dad's only thing is new. Historically, birth has been a women's affair, with the women the mother knows and trusts surrounding her to help and support her. The idea that birth is a solo, duo affair with just one person to support you is new. Whoever mom wants, mom gets. Whether that's husband or her own mother or her sister or best friend or the whole entire town. Heck, if she doesn't want you there, then the nurses will physically drag you from the room and not let you in, even though you're the husband and father. I don't think the real issue here is communication like you say. Because she did communicate, and you say you would still be uncomfortable even if she'd had a long discussion beforehand. I get the feeling that if she'd brought it up with you before, you would have tried to talk her out of it or make her feel guilty for your own comfort's sake, and I think she knows that. Which may be why she didn't ask for your input. You literally said in IATA that you want veto power over parts of her birth plan. You need to understand this. You don't get veto power over anything. But she can veto you right out of that hospital if she wants at any point. I think you need to think deeper about why her wanting someone else at her birth makes you uncomfortable. Because it's entirely about you and not about her. Are you upset she made a decision on her own about her body and her birth experience and you're mad you don't get a say over that? Do you feel like this should be a moment solely for you and her as parents and want to do that alone, even at the expense of her literal health and well-being? Do you feel like her wanting someone else there for support means she thinks you can't support her in the ways she needs? TBH. You can sympathize, but you can't empathize. Even if a woman's never been pregnant or given birth, women still have an intrinsically different ability to empathize on this. It doesn't mean you're not enough or less than. It's just different. Sometimes you need both antibiotics and a band-aid. And that hurts your pride? In one of your comments you said she made sure to specifically tell you she's not replacing you. So I think your pride is at least partially to blame here. Pregnancy and birth are scary, dangerous, potentially traumatic events. Nobody's feelings but the woman actually carrying the child matter when it comes to how she does that. You are allowed to have feelings. You are not, however, allowed to let them dictate her medical procedures or make them her problem when the thing you are upset about is 110% something that she is entitled to. She needs to do what is best for her health and her child's health. And emotional support is a huge factor. The fact that you've posted 3 separate times tells us that there is something deeper at play here, and you need to examine that in yourself much more than you need relationship advice or an IATA judgment. Because the advice really boils down to she's allowed whatever birth experience she wants, regardless of what other people want. It's normal for women to support each other when giving birth. This is how it's been done since the beginning of time. I'd say it's an instinctive and natural thing. It's a very recent thing to have a man, even the father, be present during a woman's birthing process. It has commonly been done this way. Women supporting women as doulas and midwives until as recently as the 1930s. Don't feel put out by her choice to have her closest female friend during this. It's for your wife's benefit, and this isn't about you, but about what's in the best interests of mom and baby during this time. There will be a lifetime for you and your family to spend special moments with each other. Hopefully with every moment is as special as every other. Don't take one of those moments for granted, and don't sully them with little problems and unnecessary drama. Congratulations for your family. I hope all goes as smoothly as it can. I understand why this is uncomfortable for you. But frankly, you're not the one giving birth. Why should you get a say in who your wife would like present to witness this moment and support her? It's her best friend, not some complete stranger to you. I know plenty of women who would want or have had a close friend present while they give birth, as it's a huge source of comfort during such a difficult, extremely painful, and vulnerable moment. I do think she could have mentioned it to you before asking. At the same time, I don't think she needed your permission to ask, nor do I think you should get a say in who she wants there. You're not the one shoving a whole-ass human out of your body. From her perspective, she probably thought this moment of telling you was letting you know this was something she wanted to do. You aren't your wife's everything. We all have certain needs and multiple relationships to provide support to those needs. You aren't comfortable with her having supportive people there? She's the one giving birth, not you. Should she have mentioned it sooner? Perhaps. But your reaction would have been the same anyway. She loves you and needs you. But that doesn't mean you replace all her other relationships. You have different expectations of this marriage than she does. Western culture pushes the agenda that you get married and become each other's best friends and are soulmates and build a privacy wall to keep out all other people but the two of you. Talk about boundaries and expectations. She isn't asking Sarah to be a romantic partner. She isn't asking Sarah to live with you. She's asking Sarah to be present at the birth of her child. A laborious, scary, and hopefully joyous occasion. Why would you want her to shut out the people she loves and needs? Your privacy level doesn't need to match your wife's. I think it's more of a showing Sarah birth than you being not the right person for the job. You were there for 2 births and you probably can be there again. Why shouldn't Sarah be there? It's a very special moment in your wife's life and she wants to share it with a very important person in her life. It's not like she asked a reality TV channel to film it all. She is like a sister to her and maybe she wants her there. But you are right. She could have had talk with you about that. Unfortunately, you're Saul. I get where you're coming from 100%, but ultimately this is her personal moment. She's the one pushing a baby out of her lady bits, which is a huge thing for her. Talking to you first would have been the right thing to do, but maybe it had just come up between her and her BFF and she didn't have time to talk with you beforehand. When I delivered my son, my partner wanted his mom and family to be there and I told him absolutely not. I had my mother there and he thought that warranted approval for his mom to be there automatically. I told him no way in hell is your mom watching a baby come out of my vagina. He was definitely upset, but ultimately this is my moment. He's not getting naked in front of people and going through hell. Lol. Good luck. I hope you can see the points of others here. In my view, your wife can choose whoever she likes to support her alongside you at the birth. Be thankful that you will have a co-pilot to help during the birth and you can switch off with Sarah to help your wife. You've done this twice before, so you know it is an exhausting process for your wife and also for you. So I don't understand why you wouldn't want extra support there too. As long as your wife is okay with it, then go along with it. It's not like your wife said she wanted Sarah there instead of you. My dude, I'm gonna give you some harsh advice. You're not the one pushing a baby out of you. Your wife is. Your wife has absolutely every right and final say of who she wants with her. If she wants her best friend since childhood, someone she probably thinks of as a sister, to be there with her, she's allowed. You can be upset and uncomfortable, sure, but at the end of the day, it isn't your choice. Her vagina doesn't belong to you. Suppose she had come to you and said, I'd like to have Sarah at the birth. Would that be okay? And then you would have probably said, that's not really something I'd like. Where does that leave things? With her having to create tension by either continuing with her plan knowing all parties are not 100% comfortable, or going through it with the added stress of not having someone she wanted by her side. Either way, the experience will be more stressful for her. She just chose to not add your feelings to the equation of an already tense situation and put her and the baby's needs first. I think that's perfectly acceptable in this instance. My wife and I had 5 kids. Sometimes it was just me. Sometimes it included other people. Just let it go. This childbirth is something you'll never relate to. If she wants a damn marching band in her room, then let her.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.